In episode 41, titled Secret Scanning Concepts, we're going to focus on why secrets exposure creates immediate, outsized security risk even when everything else in an environment looks well managed. A secret is a shortcut through controls because it can let someone act as a user, a service, or a trusted system without needing to exploit a vulnerability in the traditional sense. Pen Test Plus scenarios often treat secrets exposure as a high-priority finding because the likelihood is high and the potential impact can be broad, especially when the secret belongs to a privileged service account or a widely used integration. The exam also tests whether you can handle such discoveries ethically and safely, because mishandling a discovered secret can create more harm than the original leak. This episode is about concepts, not about running tools, and the core skill is knowing what a secret is, where it hides, how it gets abused, and what responsible next steps look like. By the end, you should be able to describe a safe, defensible workflow for handling and reporting secret exposure without turning discovery into misuse. Secrets can be described plainly as anything that proves identity or establishes trust, and common examples include passwords, keys, tokens, certificates, and connection strings. Passwords authenticate users, which can enable direct account takeover when exposed or reused. Keys often authenticate services or enabled privileged actions, meaning a leaked key can open access pathways that were never meant to be available externally. Tokens often represent an authorization grant or session state, and if leaked, they can allow someone to act as an identity without knowing the underlying password. Certificates matter because private components can enable impersonation or trusted communications, and even public certificate material can reveal internal naming and service structure. Connection strings are often overlooked but highly sensitive because they can include credentials and endpoints, effectively bundling access into a single piece of text. The exam expects you to recognize these as secrets because they are all means of bypassing normal friction controls. When you see any value that could authenticate, authorize, or establish trust, you should treat it as toxic material that requires careful handling. Secrets hide in predictable places because developers and operators need to move quickly, and convenience often wins until it becomes the security incident. Code repositories are common hiding places, especially when credentials are embedded temporarily and then forgotten. Configuration files are common because they centralize settings, and secrets are often placed there to keep deployments simple, especially in environments without strong secret management practices. Logs can contain secrets because values are printed during debugging, and those logs can later be copied, archived, or exposed in places nobody intended. Backups can preserve secrets long after they were removed from active systems, which means a fixed secret can remain exposed through historical artifacts. Chat tools and collaboration channels can also become leak sources because people paste snippets to troubleshoot or share access quickly, and those messages can persist and be forwarded. Pen Test Plus scenarios often hint at one of these sources and then test whether you recognize it as a serious exposure even if it was accidental. When you know where secrets hide, you can prioritize detection and safe response. Exposed secrets get abused in ways that are straightforward and high impact, which is why the exam treats them as urgent. Impersonation is the most direct abuse because a secret can let an attacker act as a user or service identity and bypass authentication controls. Data access can follow quickly, especially when the secret grants access to storage, databases, or APIs that handle sensitive records. Service takeover can occur when a secret belongs to a privileged automation account or a management interface, allowing control over infrastructure or application behavior. Secrets can also enable lateral access because one service identity may be trusted across multiple systems, meaning a single leak can cascade into broader compromise pathways.
The key is that secrets reduce attacker effort dramatically, which increases likelihood even if other controls are strong.
On Pen Test Plus questions, this is why rotate and revoke often outranks investigate later, because the risk is time-sensitive.
When you can articulate abuse patterns clearly, you can justify urgency without exaggeration.
Rotation matters because a leaked secret remains dangerous until it is replaced, and this is one of the clearest cause and effect relationships in security. Once a secret is exposed, you cannot assume it was not copied, because you have no reliable way to know who saw it, when, or where it was stored. Removing the secret from one place does not remove it from caches, backups, forks, or screenshots, which means exposure can persist even after cleanup. Rotation breaks the attacker's ability to use the leaked value by invalidating it and issuing a new one, and that action reduces likelihood quickly.
The exam expects you to understand that remove it from the repo is not sufficient by itself, because the dangerous value still exists in history and could still be used.
Rotation should also be paired with scope understanding, because the secret's blast radius depends on what it can reach and what privileges it grants. When you treat rotation as the core containment step, you respond like a professional who prioritizes risk reduction. Validation must be done safely because it is tempting to test the secret in ways that cross ethical or authorization boundaries. Safe validation focuses on confirming scope and exposure without misusing the secret, meaning you confirm that the secret exists in an accessible location and that it appears to be a real secret type, without using it to access unrelated systems. If further validation is required to assess impact, it should be done only within explicit authorization and with minimal, controlled actions that avoid unnecessary data access or disruption. The exam often rewards answers that emphasize notifying stakeholders and treating the secret as sensitive evidence rather than answers that suggest exploring with it. Safe validation also includes minimizing handling, meaning you avoid copying the value into notes or messages, and you avoid distributing it to people who do not need it for remediation. A professional treats a discovered secret like a hazardous substance. Handle as little as possible, contain quickly, and escalate through the right channels. When you validate safely, you keep the engagement defensible. Reporting language for secrets exposure must balance proof with protection because the report itself can become another leak channel if it contains full values. The right reporting approach proves that the secret exists, where it was found, and what kind of access it likely enables, while minimizing reproduction detail and using careful redaction. You want stakeholders to be able to identify and rotate the secret without the report becoming a credential store that circulates widely. Reporting should also include clear next steps: revoke or rotate, remove exposure, search for reuse, and confirm remediation, because secrets findings are actionable and time-sensitive.
Pen Test Plus questions often test whether you can report with restraint, avoiding unnecessary sensitive details while still being decisive about risk and recommended actions. This is also where confidence language matters, because you may be able to confirm exposure but not confirm exact privileges without deeper authorized validation. When you report precisely and safely, you increase trust and speed remediation. Now, imagine a scenario where you find an API key in a repository artifact, because this is a classic Pen Test Plus setup. You encounter a publicly accessible or broadly shared artifact that contains a key-like value, and the context suggests it could authenticate to an API or service. The first professional step is to minimize handling, meaning you do not paste the key into chats, you do not copy it into notes beyond what is necessary, and you do not attempt to use it casually. The next step is to confirm exposure exists and document the location and context in a safe way, focusing on how the key is accessible and why it is likely sensitive. Then you notify through the approved escalation path, because secret exposure often requires rapid action by owners who can revoke and rotate. You also treat impact assessment carefully, recognizing that the key may have broad privileges or limited privileges, but that either way, the safest immediate move is rotation and containment.
This scenario tests whether you prioritize containment over curiosity, which is exactly the professional judgment the exam wants. Immediate actions for exposed secrets tend to follow a consistent order: notify, revoke, rotate, and search for reuse, because speed matters and secrets often have cascading risk. Notification ensures the right stakeholders are aware and can coordinate containment quickly, especially if the secret is tied to production systems or sensitive data. Revocation invalidates the compromised secret as soon as possible, reducing the window where an attacker could use it. Rotation replaces the value with a new secret, restoring functionality while keeping the old value unusable, and it should be paired with updating systems that rely on it. Searching for reuse matters because secrets are often copied across environments and scripts, and you need to identify everywhere the compromised secret was used so you do not leave a shadow copy active. The exam expects you to understand that these actions are not optional best practices. They are the practical steps that reduce risk quickly. They also illustrate why secrets findings are urgent. The safest response is decisive and procedural. When you can state these actions clearly, you demonstrate mature, incident-minded reasoning. Preventive controls can be described conceptually as practices that reduce the chance secrets enter artifacts and increase the chance they are detected quickly when they do. Scanning controls help detect secrets in code and artifacts before they are published or shared widely, reducing accidental exposure. Reviews create human checkpoints where unusual values can be spotted and questioned, which complements automated scanning. Least privilege reduces blast radius by ensuring that even if a secret leaks, it cannot access more than necessary, turning a disaster into a contained incident. Vaulting, or centralized secret management, reduces the need to embed secrets in code and makes rotation easier because systems can retrieve secrets securely rather than storing them in files. The exam expects you to recommend prevention in addition to response because rotation fixes today's leak but does not prevent tomorrow's. Preventive controls also support governance because they create repeatable habits and reduce dependence on individual discipline. When you can describe prevention clearly, your recommendations become more complete.
Pitfalls in secrets handling are often caused by good intentions, such as copying secrets into notes to remember them or sharing them in messages to move fast. Copying secrets into personal notes creates new exposure because those notes are rarely protected like sensitive assets and can persist beyond the engagement. Sharing secrets in messages creates distribution risk because chats can be forwarded, archived, and searched by people who do not need the information, turning a single leak into many. Another pitfall is over-validating by using the secret to access services broadly, which can violate scope, increase harm, and create audit trail complications. There is also the pitfall of delaying notification because you want to gather more evidence, which can increase risk if the secret is actively exposed. Pen Test Plus questions often include an answer choice that suggests testing the secret to prove impact, and the safer professional answer is usually to escalate and rotate first.
When you avoid these pitfalls, you protect both the client and the integrity of the engagement. Prioritizing secrets is about focusing first on public exposure and privileged access because these factors drive likelihood and blast radius. Publicly exposed secrets are urgent because the potential audience is large and uncontrolled, making probability of misuse higher. Privileged secrets are urgent because they can control infrastructure, access sensitive data stores, or act with broad authority, increasing impact if abused. Secrets tied to internet-facing services are also high priority because they can be exercised easily without internal access barriers. Less privileged secrets in restricted contexts still matter, but they are often second priority behind the exposures that combine reachability and power. The exam often rewards this prioritization because it reflects real-world triage. Contain the widest, most powerful leak first. Prioritization also informs remediation sequencing, such as rotating the most dangerous secrets first and then cleaning up less critical ones as part of a broader hygiene effort. When you can rank secrets this way, you demonstrate practical risk management.
A memory phrase can keep the workflow disciplined, and a useful one is find, protect, revoke, rotate, prevent. Find means identify that a secret exists in an exposed location and treat that discovery as a high-priority signal.
Protect means minimize handling, avoid copying and sharing, and secure any evidence you must retain under minimum necessary principles.
Revoke means invalidate the exposed secret quickly to reduce immediate misuse risk. Rotate means replace the secret and update dependent systems so operations continue safely, while ensuring the old value remains unusable.
Prevent means implement controls like scanning, reviews, least privilege, and vaulting to reduce recurrence and improve detection.
This phrase is short enough to recall under pressure and maps directly to the safe behavior the exam expects.
If you can run it mentally, you will respond consistently. In this episode, the main lesson is that secrets exposure creates immediate risk because secrets enable impersonation, data access, and service takeover with minimal attacker effort, and the risk remains until rotation occurs. Secrets include passwords, keys, tokens, certificates, and connection strings, and they commonly hide in code, configs, logs, backups, and chat tools where convenience leads to accidental leaks. Handle discovered secrets safely by confirming exposure without misuse, reporting with minimal reproduction detail, and prioritizing rapid containment through notification, revocation, rotation, and reuse search. Prevent recurrence with scanning, reviews, least privilege, and vaulting practices, and avoid pitfalls like copying secrets into notes or sharing them casually in messages. Now rehearse the steps once today by imagining you found a secret in an artifact and walking yourself through find, protect, revoke, rotate, prevent, because that rehearsal is how safe handling becomes automatic under time pressure. When it's automatic, you will consistently choose the professional answer in Pentest Plus scenarios. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.